Good afternoon all the students. Let's move on to part 2 of carbohydrate metabolism today. Hope you all have learnt glycolysis pathway well. The contents of today's discussion are pathway, energetics and significances of citric acid cycle. Pathway, energetics and significances of citric acid cycle. What is the role of TCA cycle? It involves in the conversion of glucose to carbon dioxide and water. And glucose metabolism taking place through glycolysis and TCA cycle to produce carbon dioxide and water. Through glycolysis, only pyruvate is produced in cytoplasm, where this pyruvate is transported to mitochondria for further oxidation through TCA cycle to give carbon dioxide and water. So the final step of glucose oxidation is TCA cycle. What is citric acid cycle? Tricarboxylic acid cycle, tricarboxylic acid cycle, or TCA cycle, or Krebs cycle. It is otherwise known as tricarboxylic acid cycle or TCA or Krebs cycle. And it is a catabolic, central metabolic, oxidative and final common oxidative pathway for carbohydrates, fats and amino acids. So all the products will go for oxidation through TCA cycle to form carbon dioxide and water finally. So what is citric acid cycle? It is a catabolic pathway, central metabolic pathway. Since it is applicable for carbohydrates, fats and amino acids, it is called a central metabolic pathway, and it is a oxidative pathway, and it is coming under final common oxidative pathway for all the biomolecules. And the end result of the pathway is formation of carbon dioxide and water. Coming to citric acid cycle, it is not linear pathway like glycolysis, where glycolysis comprises of 10 steps and citric acid cycle comprises of 8 steps. And how this pyruvate is involved in TCA cycle means pyruvate that is obtained from glycolysis is transferred to mitochondria, and through pyruvate dehydrogenase it is converted to acetyl-CoA through oxidation process, and then acetyl-CoA combined with oxaloacetate, that is the end product of TCA cycle, and again it involves in the TCA cycle. So it gets cycling process. So in the first step, acetyl-CoA, which is formed from pyruvate, is combined with oxaloacetate and it gives citrate moiety. So 2 carbon acetyl-CoA combines with 4 carbon oxaloacetate to give citrate. Okay, citrate has 6 carbon moiety. Citrate is 6 carbon moiety. And by means of Aconitase enzyme, citrate is converted to isocitrate, isomer of citrate. And then by isocitrate dehydrogenase, it is converted to alpha ketoglutarate. And through alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase, it is converted to succinyl-CoA. Then it is by succinyl-CoA synthetase, it is a substrate level phosphorylation by which succinate is formed. And in the 6th step, succinate dehydrogenase converts succinate to fumarate. And by fumarase enzyme, it is converted to malate. Finally, malate dehydrogenase converts malate to oxaloacetate. Again, oxaloacetate combines with acetyl-CoA to give citrate. So it is a cycle process where NADH, FADH2 and ATP are formed. So in this process of oxidative pathway, substrate level phosphorylation and oxidative phosphorylation processes are taking place, through which ATPs are synthesized for energy. We'll be discussing about energetics in the coming slides. Let's go for stepwise discussion on TCA cycle. So in this first step, it involves condensation process. Condensation of oxaloacetate and acetyl-CoA to give 6-carbon moiety of citrate by citrate synthetase. Step 2 involves isomerization of citrate. By means of aconitase enzyme, citrate is converted to cis-aconitate and dextroisocitrate, where we get free energy of 6.3 kilojoules per mole. And step 3 involves generation of carbon dioxide by an NAD plus linked enzyme. NAD plus is coenzyme for isocitrate dehydrogenase, where dextroisocitrate is converted to alpha ketoglutarate and it generates NADH, that is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide enzyme obtained from niacin, vitamin niacin. It is vitamin coenzyme, supports isocitrate dehydrogenases for oxidation, and it is example for oxidative phosphorylation process. Coming to step 4, a second oxidative decarboxylation step by alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenation complex. So by the enzyme, by the group of alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenation complex, alpha ketoglutarate is converted to succinyl-CoA with the release of 33.5 kilojoules per mole, where NAD plus coenzyme is involved in decarboxylation process and NADH is released to give ATP molecules. So NADH release indicates oxidative phosphorylation, where carbon dioxide release indicates decarboxylation. 2 carbons have been added to oxaloacetate by the action of citrate synthase, that is acetyl-CoA. Due to the stereospecific action of aconitase, the 2 carbons are added, not the same 2 carbons lost in the oxidative decarboxylation steps. They are not same, whichever is gone for decarboxylation. And 2 oxidized NAD plus cofactors have been reduced to NADH to release ATPs. And in the remaining steps of the Krebs cycle, the succinyl-CoA that is formed in the last step will be converted back into the original substrate for the cycle, oxaloacetate. Step 5 involves substrate level phosphorylation, where guanidine diphosphate is converted to guanidine triphosphate. An equal amount of GTP is giving ATP by means of ADP involved reaction. So from GTP, equal amount of ATP is released. So 1 mole of GTP will give 1 mole of ATP. Where in this reaction, succinyl-CoA by means of succinyl-CoA synthetase, it is converted to succinate by means of substrate level phosphorylation. Coming to step 6, where flavin dependent dehydrogenation occurs. It is also example for oxidative phosphorylation, where FAD coenzyme is involved. FAD is nothing but flavin adenine dinucleotide. It is converted to flavin adenine dinucleotide hydrogen. That is H2, FADH2, which will release 2 number of ATPs. From one FADH2 molecule, we can get 2 ATPs, where from one NADH molecule, we'll be getting 3 ATP molecules. And in this step 6, succinate is converted to fumarate by means of succinate dehydrogenase. And fumarate of trans isomer is formed, not cis form, trans isomer is formed. And step 7 involves hydration of a carbon-carbon double bond by means of fumarase enzyme with a release of 3.8 kilojoules per mole energy, where fumarate trans isomer is converted to L-malate, levomalate. And in the step 8, a dehydrogenation reaction that will regenerate oxaloacetate, where L-malate by means of malate dehydrogenase, it is converted to oxaloacetate with the involvement of coenzyme NAD+. And wherever NAD+ involved, then it involves in the oxidative phosphorylation by means of releasing NADH. And oxaloacetate also produced or regenerated back for the citric acid cycle again, and it combines with acetyl-CoA going for the first step, that is condensation process. And here all the substrates and intermediates are mentioned with ionic form. So when the molecules are existing in the body, it will be existing with the ionic form, not in a neutral form. So we cannot call it as malic acid, oxaloacetic acid, likewise. It is called as malate, oxaloacetate, citrate, so on. And this table represents stoichiometric reaction and energetics of the citric acid cycle, the steps involved, enzyme involved, and how much energy, free energy, is released. The total amount of exothermic and thermodynamically favorable energy is 44.8 kilojoules per mole. Negative indicates exothermic reaction. Coming to energetics of the citric acid cycle, 1 turn of the citric acid cycle generates 1 high energy phosphate molecule, that is GTP, guanidine triphosphate, which will be converted to adenosine triphosphate, and 3 NADH and 1 FADH2. These are the high energy phosphates released from citric acid cycle, 1 ATP, 3 NADH and 1 FADH2. Coming to catabolism of glucose through glycolysis and the Krebs cycle. This is the overall reaction of glucose oxidation to carbon dioxide and water from glycolysis and TCA cycle. And from complete oxidation of glucose, it releases 6 carbon dioxide molecule, 10 NADH and 2 FADH2, 4 ATP molecules. Coming to the yield of ATP by citric acid cycle and glycolysis, and the yield of ATP represents both glycolysis and TCA cycle, where 10 NADH and 2 FADH2 molecules and 4 ATPs are produced, where 1 NADH produces 3 moles of ATP and 1 FADH2 produces 2 moles of ATP, and 4 ATPs are added to that to give 38 moles of ATP per mole of glucose. And only in TCA cycle 30 moles of ATP per mole of glucose is produced, where 8 ATPs are produced from pyruvate formation in glycolysis. So 30 plus 8, 38 moles of ATP per glucose. Coming to significances of the citric acid cycle. There are 3 main significances of the citric acid cycle. First one is, it is final common oxidative pathway involves in the metabolism of carbohydrates, fats and amino acids. Then it involves oxidation of fatty acids, which yield acetyl-CoA needs the help of oxaloacetate. And all amino acids after transamination enter into some or other points of the pathway for final oxidation. So these are the main biological role and significances of TCA cycle. Coming to the importance of citric acid cycle, prevention of lactic acidosis in the muscle under anaerobic conditions. So by anaerobic conditions in the muscle, production of lactic acidosis is prevented through oxidative pathway, and it is playing important role in producing ATP as energy source during muscle activity. Cycle is efficient when muscle activity has ceased. So it allows the oxygen such that the Krebs cycle and electron transport chain can produce energy at peak efficiency. The drug metformin can precipitate lactic acidosis in patients with renal failure because metformin inhibits the Cori cycle. Normally, the excess lactate would be cleared by the kidneys, but in patients with renal failure, the kidneys cannot handle the excess lactic acid. So these are the main clinical importance of TCA cycle. Thank you all for patient listening to the completion of this class. In the next class, we will be discussing about part 3 of carbohydrate metabolism. Thank you all for patient listening. If any doubt, you can post your queries and comments in the classroom app.